Okay. Hold on one second.
Okay. I'm not sure what's there, but there you go.
Do we have anyone online? Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, okay then.
All right, let's get going. Call meeting to order at 1900. Roll call. Eric Anderson.
Okay, Pat Kidd,
Kevin Creighton.
Shane Wooten?
Michelle Jones, Marsha Herndon,
Kevin Church.
Eric Rao.
Everybody get a copy of the minutes from last meeting?
S here.
Any corrections, additions? That's it?
I did not see anything.
Okay. A motion to approve the minutes?
I move to the minutes be approved as written.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Department reports. Chief Herndon.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm gonna apologize for sounding funny and coughing a little bit. I'm a victim of the Willamette Valley allergy season. Had it under control and then worked outside on Saturday and got in my lungs and the rest is history. So, guys, that's what I sound like. Thank God for the rain. I never really say that, but our whole wing is kind of like this.
Yeah.
So Brad was here last time, kind of did the same report out. So this is just kind of a crime update a little bit for you. I will apologize in advance. It has been a crazy day and crazy last week or so. So this is as polished as it normally would be. The crime in general, you know, obviously we watch the person's crimes that are creeping up. Because we have so little person's crimes in Albany, any little change can change those percentages. We're not seeing anything super scary as far as trends, although auto thefts are still up there, and some car break-ins. And those are generally related to some of our transit type activity. We're trying to troubleshoot a couple of specific areas, one of which is Keats Park. Simpson Park, Talking Water Gardens, it is growth and new buildings like the apartment complex going where there's some frustration over there from people with some ongoing criminal activity. We're trying to do the best that we can with what we have on that. So no major changes here. Our calls are up a little bit. I do think we're pretty busy. This is gonna lead into what I'll cover on the back page here. So you flip over, overdoses are about where we think they should be, or would be, not should be, so it should be zero, but would be. It's still gonna be probably not a great year for deaths in the city. And we started out the year with one on New Year's Day. The area is still trying to push out as much Narcan as we possibly can to save some lives, things like that. This will be an interesting thing to track as they recriminalize possession. For those of you who are not familiar, House Bill 4002 was signed by the governor yesterday. The law enforcement aspects of that do not become law until September 1st to allow courts, probation, law enforcement, jails, everybody to get spun back up on it. We did a count and we had hired 21 police officers since Measure 110 passed. So 21 of those officers have never arrested somebody for drug possession before. So we have to do a whole bunch of training in that. So there's a bunch going on the state level in that. I'd be naive in saying that this is gonna be an instant fix. It's not. We already have a clogged criminal justice system. We don't have resources in place to handle people dealing with substance abuse disorder, or the related mental health issues. As it is, we're not gonna be able to stand that up in 6 months. It's not gonna happen. So we will do what we can to not flood the criminal justice system with new cases, but we are gonna look at deflection as an option. We don't have a deflection program per se. There's something called the Yellow Line Project, which is for mental health related cases to divert them out of the criminal justice system, but that's not been really successful. This might be a little bit different. Lynn County and Benton County, well, actually, Lynn County has a pretty good drug court, which is a diversion program. So you charge and then you just do this diversion drug court. And there's some pretty good conditions they have to meet. That's been up and running even since Measure 110 was in place, and they've actually had people go through it. So we have a meeting with the DA in Lynn County next Wednesday to discuss what that all of this might look like. We have a lot of work to do. Benton County doesn't have any sort of deflection or diversion program related to drugs, so I'm not sure what's going to happen over there just yet. And we have a DA change occurring over there. John Harrelson's retiring, and then his one of the senior people is running for office, and I think he'll be a good guy to have in there. So that's going to be a topic of discussion in the community, probably moving forward. You know, and I don't expect to see progress in some of these livability issues, Marvin Gardens issues, and these other issues probably for a while. In fact, I got a call from the sheriff a little bit ago, and she said, can we talk about Marvin's Gardens and some changes? And I'm like, oh, okay. So, because they're impacted by that over there. Hiring, last year was the victory year of, hey, yay, we're at full staffing. Well, that quickly went backwards. So, Dan Jones, one of our sergeants, has retired. His last day was on Friday. He was gonna work back for a while, but it looks like that. He's like, yeah, I'll just come back for the last couple days. And he's a pretty successful excavation business he started. So, and now we're in good weather. Brad Lyles is retiring July 1st. He'll stick around for a month, probably as light insurance and stuff, developing and some promotions coming, things like that. We had some unexpected departure. Carrie Baker, was our drug dog handler, departed for family reasons. His wife's grandfather owns a beautiful, very successful cattle ranch down in outside of Springfield, and grandpa can't take care of it anymore, so he gets to change jobs. It's actually a pretty cool thing, but it was sad. So we're expediting the transfer of a new dog handler, so we don't lose the dog. The dog stays with us. And additionally, one of our newer officers who came to us from OSU was a community service or a campus security officer, public service officer, whatever you call him over there, for a long time, worked at the university for 10, 15 years. Wanted to become a police officer, started with us, and now he's transferred over to OSU as a police officer. So the upside of that is there's a state law that requires agencies to pay other police agencies when you steal their people. So we got a check for $108,000 from the Oregon State University, but against loss of a good person.
We need that on the fire side, big time.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we paid, about $120,000 for LaShawn Neal to come over from Corvallis. So, and when you're really low staffed, you pay it.
Yeah.
So, so we're ramping up efforts to fill those. We're still doing okay, but we're committed to 0% vacancies. But we'll always probably hover around 1%, things like that. And we're planning ahead. We do have at least 2-3 retirements coming at us at the end of the year towards next year. So, and those people have already told us, so we're planning ahead for those. Some promotions happening. Captain's interview is tomorrow. One internal candidate doing that. So hopefully he doesn't fall on his face tomorrow. when it comes in for that. And then we have a lieutenant's process, et cetera. We have two new sergeants waiting in the wings that have already tested and are on the list. And so lots of change coming at us, and that has its own complexities. But we're doing okay. Nobody's leaving because it sucks to work there. That's good. It's a good place to be. So again, right now, we've had 3 total hirings in 2024. We have 1 person in background. We started with 8 people on interview day. Only 3 of those people passed. Only 1 of those people has survived a background so far. That's the world we live in. It's tough. So we're at 4 vacancies right now, 3 police officer vacancies with more coming. We have a dispatcher vacancy as well. And then you'll see me go in front of council in May. Our police services manager is retiring. He's a superstar, but even he couldn't keep up with 21 direct reports. So we're going to split his position in 2, which is where it was before we made that change in that. So constantly on that hiring train. That bottom picture is a win for us. That's the East Substation. That is in vacated office space at Coastal Farm, corporate offices. So if you've ever been to, I'm assuming you've ever been to Coastal Farm, behind the warehouse is a big long monolith looking building with 1 sort of business entrance. Our substation is right inside, kind of to the right. It's secure, it's got cameras, it's alarmed. They're in the process of divvying up that space, but it's mostly vacant right now. That's going to be a huge thing for us since Walmart and the typical area retailers are the #1 users of services. So officers have already been out there using it. We're waiting for some IT things to be completed today and tomorrow, and we'll have high-speed secure access out there. So that is a big win for us. These are a little bit tough things to pull off. And with a growing city like Albany, it's very important to have regular presence on that side of the city. So, any report? Let's hear some questions.
Just to confirm your overdoses, that's on the calendar year, not fiscal, correct?
Calendar year, yes. Yeah.
So it looks like if I'm assuming that's for a quarter, you'll at least be below, right now you're trending below what you were last year.
Yeah.
Whether it stays once you hit summer.
Yeah, I think, well, we're just now seeing ISO, some new synthetic opiate come in, and that I think it's, and I think it was low first quarter last year, if I recall as well. So, I really, I'd be happy if they go down, but we'll see. It is, I think the only gains in that is the fact that we are flooding. We have a Narcan leave behind program, which makes me feel icky. I know people are doing drugs, so we're gonna leave something behind, but ultimately it's saving lives. The thing that concerns me, we're trying to put a stop to it, is we have some community organizations well-intended handing out needles, clean needles, particularly people at Marvin's Gardens. And I get the harm reduction piece of that, but that is public property. We cannot condone drug activity on public property, even though we know it's occurring. We've had a couple of those calls there. But I hope it stays down, but I think we're gonna see it, same trend. While Shane's talking, I'll pull up where we were April last year and take a look at the numbers.
Sort of related to that, Chief, when you're talking about sort of drug court still being in place and ready to handle some measure of folks in regions, not as many as we got. Are you getting some help from community partners on the other aspects of that mental and behavioral health stuff, or are they not, as the funding not caught up with them yet?
I think we're all trying to kind of wrap our head around what this looks like. It's been pretty clear, but the final package came together pretty quickly. One of the things that just happened a week or so after it got voted on by the legislature is we had a sequential intercept mapping exercise in Benton County where it brought together law enforcement, jail, courts, probation, care providers, mental health, everybody. We all sat in a room over OSU and said, okay, what what does a person dealing with drug addiction and or mental illness, what does that look like in the criminal justice system?
Sequential mapping exercises?
Sequential intercept mapping,
Interesting.
really need to do it in Lynn County. I think it's worthwhile exercise. I learned a lot that organizations do that I didn't know. It was an entire day over there, just an organization that just from start to finish, if Eric enters the criminal justice system through a police officer, what does that look like?
Who do I talk to next? What do I
Yeah.
do next?
Yeah, what are the avenues to give them off ramps and services, things like that? And that's where I learned that Benton County has no diversion courts whatsoever. Which I would assume, considering Corvallis, that it would be the case. So, if you get an ear of our county commissioners, and I'll do the same, say, probably bring all your community partners together in the county and see what's available, what's not, what are the gaps. And that I also am aware, Lynn County Mental Health is one of some struggles at the moment, to say that in a nice way. So don't know what that will look like moving forward. And they're a big part of this.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Has there been any thought with partnering with ideal options since they're in the area?
Yeah, we've met with Josh a couple times. You know, we're on speed dial with him. They don't have, though they've got some connections to Helping Hands. But I don't think they've had much success. You know, if you're talking about peer support, and for people who don't know what peer support means, it's a team that can go and intervene, like a mental health intervention specialist. They have peer teams that can go intervene on somebody who wants help right then, and then they take them and grab them and get them into help. And that's the problem is, if I'm a fentanyl addict and I said I want help right now and I'm homeless, there's nothing for these people, zero. It's a mess. Ideal Options is an organization that's trying to bridge that gap. We have connection. It's just part of that is you have to have the rest of the system on board.
Yeah.
County alcohol, drug, and
He started with 1 day a week and he's slowly expanding. It sounds like he's been successful so far.
with an office and treatment there. Okay. Is that with only people that are residents of Helping Hands, or is it anybody?
Helping Hands won't accept it because they're on boards.
Yeah.
Once they go in and start the process, then they accept it.
I know Emma knows him, so I don't know. I'll have to talk to her. We're gonna connect and talk to Chance Recovery about what this means too, because I think that's part of the mission, is to get that up and running.
Good resource.
Yeah.
I will say, I know that Lynn County Mental Health is working on getting treatment beds.
Yeah,
They're
the building across the street from the
hospital. So
I hope that comes to fruition, so, but it's desperately needed. In that sim exercise that we did, they went around and said, what is your top 3 things that we need, and all throw out ideas. And everybody went up and put priority behind it, and a stabilization center, detox center was tied for first place. Anybody who's dealt with anybody in addiction, until they're clean and sober for 72 hours or more, your chance of getting them into longer term care improves, but we don't have anything to hold them. That's why they increased the hold of state law. You can hold them up to 72 hours, but the problem is we don't have a place to put people for that time. It's emergency rooms or jail, and that's it. Right now.
that's why I think why they're looking at the facility across from the hospital and what their goal is.
Yeah.
So
Knowing they're trying to do that in Corvallis, and they were optimistic to try to get open in a year, and we're in year 4, I think, over there. So it'll take some. They're not cheap, but I hope it happens.
I know its goal is to get it done before we.
One last thing, back to you for a second. Our annual report is done, it's on our website. I didn't have time to print all the copies, it's nicely done, so go to our homepage and take a look at it, and it's got a good synopsis of what the year was like last year.
Chief, I have 2 more questions, a short one and a longer one. And the longer one, actually, I wish I would have asked Chief Wooten last time around. But it is, what does your promotion process look like? Primarily written tests? Is it an assessment center? Is it like, what does that entail if somebody's going from sergeant to lieutenant or lieutenant to captain or what have you? What's the?
We
Can you talk
do
little bit about
a
that?
full assessment center. We do a peer review, so if you're promoting to sergeant, we send a, anonymous, well, not anonymous, because we know who it goes to,
Yeah.
but
Well,
everybody
it's
has to answer for everybody to make it defensible. So say you're promoting to sergeant, we're all sergeants or supervisors in the department, we all get a survey about your leadership abilities, your communication style, blah, blah, blah. That's 10% of your score, or something like that. And then we give you a written assignment surrounding leadership or something like that. That's graded. There's a inbox exercise where you have to get a pile of crap on your desk, which is normal. You have to recognize trends, priorities, and things like that. There tends to be a role play for maybe a problem employee or struggling employee. Some sort of critical incident in progress type of thing where you're gonna have to manage it on the fly, think bigger picture resources, and then finally an oral interview panel. It's a long day. We had 6 candidates that took it. For the people who put it on, it's a 12-hour day to put it on. For the candidates, a full day of testing.
Excellent. That's a great process.
For apparatus operator, which is the first promotion that our people have an opportunity for, is an assessment center. So they have multiple scenarios that they have to operate different equipment. They don't know what equipment they're going to have to operate. And then they also have an interview. So 2 pieces there. They also, historically, we've brought in an APD officer to do a driving test with them. So that's kind of awkward for them, but that's good. And then the APD officer is scoring them on making sure they're following all the laws. For lieutenant, it's a similar process minus the driving. They have an interview and then an assessment where they have to run multiple scenarios. But we score all of our stuff, and it's score-based.
Thank you. Appreciate that. The easy question is, do you have a Citizens Academy coming up this year?
Yes. In the fall.
Very good.
Remind me, it'll be blasted through social media and on our website. Remind me and I'll make sure you get it.
Very good. Appreciate that.
No questions? All right, Chief.
Okay, so I heard a long time ago, the mind can only absorb as much as the butt can withstand. So I have a lot to say tonight, but I'm going to try to use brevity to make it so you can withstand it.
At least we'll have a PowerPoint.
I don't have a PowerPoint. I'm going to pass around the monthly report as well as our annual report. And there's items that I'd just like to highlight in some of the both documents. Okay, so regarding the report that you've seen before, I really don't have a lot to comment on it. You know, we've had a slowdown in calls. January, you could see in the table in the upper left was really busy, but if you recall from our previous meeting, we had the ice storm during that time. But things have slowed down a little bit, which is a good thing for us. But really, other than that, everything else has remained relatively constant. So I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on that. Definitely will answer questions, though, as you look through it. Some other highlights, though, from the department that I want to make you aware of is a few weeks ago, we had 2 fatal fires in 10 days. And that is atypical for us. Both fires are being investigated by Albany Fire Department employees as well as Albany Police Department. And we won't know all the details until APD gets their reports back. But we can say, though, that in both cases that there were no active smoke detectors in those homes. And so really, I just want to emphasize to you and to anybody who's going to read the minutes or potentially watching the importance of having an active working smoke detector. Both of these fires were not very big. Both of these fires were put out with less than 100 gallons of water and were isolated to a small area. But the smoke has to, or you need to be alerted to it if you're asleep. And so, anyway, smoke detectors do save lives. And related to that, we have been partnering with the Red Cross, the Stop the Smoke campaign, and some volunteers and fire department members went out and canvassed some manufactured homes, parks 2 weeks ago. And then on April 13th, 70 people signed up for us to go install smoke detectors.
7-0?
7-0. So we're going to install a lot of smoke detectors, which really, as a side note, what is alarming is that there's 70 people out there that needed smoke detectors installed because they must not have working smoke detectors. So excited about that. Also on that day, on April 13th, we're having a burn to learn. A burn to learn is when somebody has a building that is structurally sound that they donate it to us to burn. And we're able to train with real live fire, real life scenarios and situations. And so this home is right behind the Boys and Girls Club. The Boys and Girls Club own the home. And we are going to be training there on the 13th. So we'll do lots of social media on it. We've already canvassed the neighborhood, talked to neighbors to make sure they're okay with it. Hasso Herring is a part of one of our rural boards. He's keyed in, he's gonna blog about it. He might have an interesting slant on it though, with affordable housing crisis and burning down a home. But Hasso is super supportive of us doing it. He is though, will be writing something on it. Let's see here. Also, activities in the department to tell you about that I'm excited about. We've started, so 53rd Avenue, Animal Kingdom is what we call it. I've heard other people call it Crater Flats, all sorts of different names. But we received a different outfit in our area received money from the Oregon State Fire Marshal's office to do different wildfire projects. We serendipitously, I heard about it and then started engaging the person. And the next thing you know, jumped forward a few months later, meeting with 53rd Avenue HOA and getting their buy-off. We're trying to clear some brush out from behind fence lines of their property, or of that neighborhood. There's like 700 homes back there, one way in, one way out, and most of it's surrounded by green space. It's a complicated process to do a project like that because everybody has different concerns, whether it be ecological or wildlife, how it'll be affected, and it just gets complicated really fast. But I think we had quite a bit of support from the community. They started, the work crew started out there, or the hand crew started out there yesterday. It's our first time doing this. We were a little surprised that they didn't get us that much work done. And it wasn't what we were expecting. So we're gonna re-engage with them to better understand their process and how many times do they plan to come back, because there's a lot more work that needs to be done there than what we saw them do in 3 hours. Let's hear Jamie Smith. I'm not sure if any of you know Jamie Smith, but Jamie retired, which we missed you. We did chief pictures with Tedish
I
Brad.
didn't even know that
You didn't?
No. Until I saw it on Facebook.
Dang it. Okay.
I was like, what did I do wrong?
So Jamie retired, super happy for him, a really successful career at Albany Fire Department. So Jamie's one of our battalion chiefs, will be definitely be missed. So at our March 13th council meeting, we recognized individuals, both community members and department members for their efforts, the fire at Green Acres Avenue, which I've told you about, for the rescue that they did. And then we also recognized 2 members from AA Towing and department members. I'm gonna pass around a picture for a technical rescue we had on Vine Street, where a car got into the canal upside down. And I'll pass around a picture. I think that'll do a better job than me trying to explain it. Just, it was a very complicated rescue because you have a car upside down in a waterway, water going through the cab, water, the hydraulic forces of water is significant, so it's wanting to push the car. So we had to stabilize the car and then at the same time get a patient out safely. So they did just a heck of a job. And you could see a team effort there. APD officers were there, our folks, and AA Towing. It really takes everybody coming together to make that happen. And I specifically at the council meeting called out AA Towing and what a valuable partner they are in our community. They actually train with us, and they take their business very, very seriously. So all their employees are very well trained and competent. They retain their people. And so we've practiced some of this stuff with them. So if we have like a water rescue call where a car is in the river, we can call AA Towing and they know to come in and they know exactly what we're doing. So really bravo to AA Towing. Also slated, a lot of this is probably review, but we received an assistance to firefighters grant to buy a fire truck. This is a picture of the fire truck. Fire truck, we will be getting it realistically, it'll be in service in July, is what we're shooting for. We go back in April to look at it at the manufacturing plant. And so, that's just, the team did an awesome job getting a grant that saved our community $600,000. And so, well done to our team. On the horizon, we're doing also like the police department, lots of hiring. We have multiple processes in varying steps. So there'll be many new faces coming in with retirements. And then if you recall, we lost a few people to Salem. So lots of activity happening in the department with my pending departure. It's just created a whole trickle-down event. And then some decisions we're going to be making in the next few weeks, I'd like just to clue you in on, because I think they're really exciting. So when we've been doing a good job with our budget and saving money. We've made some really difficult decisions a few years ago, but we're starting to see the benefits of those decisions now. So we're looking at having a training structure built behind Station 12, which is on 34th Avenue. It won't be the full-blown, 4-story tower that we were hoping for, or that ideally we need, but it will be a legitimate structure that we'll be able to train on instead of going to Corvallis or Polk County to do that type of work. We're also going to be upgrading the way we receive the dispatching tones right now. Chief Kreitman, when were you fire chief?
99.
99? How long, when you became fire chief, did we have minute or pagers before that? Any ideas? I wasn't sure if it was the 70s or the 80s.
We had them when I started, and so we had them when I started as a volunteer in 79.
Okay, so we have the same
Well,
technology.
But they were the table ones.
Okay.
And
Well,
then we went to the paper ones.
essentially, we have the same technology that we received the dispatch center information at all of our stations, as we did from 79. We are upgrading that to current technology, so it'll be a computer voice that dispatches us. We'll have, our stations will receive the information, and then we'll have what are called escalating tones. So right now at 2 a.m, well, imagine this, if you will. Imagine laying in bed, you're asleep, and then all of a sudden, somebody turns on all the lights and starts talking loud at you. Like you physically can feel your heart race
I wouldn't want to sleep.
when that happens. Well, actually, what happens is you do get used to it, but you develop poor sleep habits and you don't get into any sort of deep sleep because you're waiting for that to happen. And so modern technology is escalating tones where it just gets louder and louder and louder. The lights get brighter and brighter and brighter. And then instead of waking up in a second, you're able to wake up in 5 seconds. So we are in the process of, we've got bids, and we're going to be able to pull the trigger on making these significant investments in our department. So excited about that.
The only thing, or is that other stations in the county?
Well, that's kind of what, so I like to think of myself as a little opportunistic as chief, that when, we put ourselves in a position where we can move when we see opportunities. And then when we see something pops up that meets something that's in our capital improvement plan, strategic plan, or operational goals, that we're there then to move. This has been a long-standing issue. And so Lebanon, Corvallis, and us, and Albany, are going to go in together to pay for the capital outlay at the dispatch center. So that's a $60,000 tab that will split. So it's really a nominal amount when you have a $22 million budget. And we're working with LCSO because they have to switch over everything they do. Like how to say Ellsworth, that's a computer generated voice. So they have to listen to how that sounds. And they have to do that for all the streets in Lynn County. So it's a huge task. In the long run, it'll save them time and be more efficient, because to dispatch us, they just have to press the button and then technology takes it from there. So then there's that piece, but then there's the capital piece of all of our stations. We had foresight when we built Station 11 and Station 15 in Millersburg, knowing that someday we would be doing this. We honestly didn't really anticipate having the funding or the opportunity to do it so early, but it's here and we're ready. But we'll also then do the other 3 stations as well. So all 5 stations will be the same. So yeah, excited about that. Let's see. Okay. So let me, if I could, just quickly walk through our annual report. Because as people who are responsible, liaisons to the council, I just want to really just talk about what a great fire department that you have. So first page, we'll skip. I was not responsible for making this together. I would never have put a big picture of myself like that in there. Thank you, Kate Hennessy from the fire department, and Matt Harrington from the city. So a couple quick items. The bottom of page 4, I really want to call out Hillary Kosmicki and her work with Housing Empowerment Action League. That's a fancy word for getting stakeholders together to talk about the houseless issue and what we can do collaboratively to help. So great job, Hillary, on that, for creating that. Next, February, the CPR in the schools. Just to highlight to you that the Albany Safety Foundation does a fabulous job raising money. They received a grant from the Sharp Foundation for $10,000 a year for the next 2 years to help with that. However, ATI has stepped up, and ATI is now one of the primary sponsors of the event. This last go around, they sent 2 employees that are part of their first responder group to help our people teach CPR classes. So a great private-public partnership happening there. Okay, turning the page. Just gonna highlight some things I'm proud of our people. The bottom of page 6, Alfredo Mendez, one of our deputy fire marshals, love him immensely. He is our champion and our liaison to our Latino community, which historically has been underserved, I believe, by our organization. Last year we did our first ever all Spanish CPR class, which was awesome that we're able to do that. Going on to page 7, again, on the top there, here in the next couple months, we'll be receiving a tactical water tender from the state fire marshal from a grant that we were successful with. Tactical tender means it's a fire truck that carries water that we're able to take off-road, so into our rural areas and the grass seed farms around us. So a great service that we'll be able, or better service we'll be able to provide them. Turning the page to June, just to highlight that because we've been diligent saving our money, we were able to purchase new turnouts for all of our firefighters. That's a couple $100,000 tab. To go do that, please.
Pardon me, but what's a turnout?
A turnout, okay, just like that picture. So it is their bunker pants, maybe is another term people will say, and their coat. So that is just the jacket and those pants is a couple $1,000s. But it's high-tech equipment because, we're going into extremely hot temperatures. So we have to stay, have to protect us from the flames. But then once we start spraying water in that building, all that water turns to hot steam. So we have to have a vapor barrier. And then all that, we have to try to keep our firefighters as cool as possible. So it is also, we hire from the human race, in case you did not know that. And it turns out the human race is full of different sizes, shapes, configurations of humans. So all of our turnouts are specially fitted for our people. So we bring the company in, they size our people, and then they build the turnouts accordingly.
So it's important to stay the same size.
Yes, exactly. Just 2 quick things on that page. While I'm at Valley Heart screening, a little thing you may or may not remember me talking about, and all the things I talk about, but we partner with an outfit back east to do 12 lead AKGs on high school students. This year, we found a child that had an underlying heart issue that would have manifested itself in one of those sudden cardiac arrest events. Another little thing gets lost in translation, but it's a big deal, is us being able to accept online payments for our ambulance bills and firewood. That is a huge thing, long time coming, and bravo to our people for doing it. Okay, other little quick things. Next page in July, and I'm almost done. We're halfway through the year. Stick with me. The golf tournament are our AFCAF, Albany Firefighters Community Assistance Fund, our nonprofit. We raise money that we send back out into the community, give out scholarships, buy safety equipment. At our peak lows, we've been around $10,000, and we start pulling back. Because the last couple of years, we've done a really good job raising money. We're at $46,000. So we are actually, we had a meeting the other day where we need to start spending more money. So props to the community and our folks for raising the money. We got a new medic unit in July. We added to our capacity. Going from August, I'll go ahead and, because of time, I'll skip over some August stuff, but we did make enhancements to our fire investigation team. Going to September, I'm super proud of our people. We received a $500,000 grant from Samaritan Health to expand our community paramedic program. Essentially what that did was paid for our community paramedic, and then also for another half-time FTE to go out and try to keep people out of the back of our ambulance. In September, we added an AED loaner program, which was a partnership with both Rotary clubs in town and the Albany Safety Foundation. Disappointingly, though, we're gonna have to do a better job getting the word out. We haven't had anybody come and check it out. I hope that changes. We probably need to get it back out there. So if you know of anybody that needs to borrow an AED for a large event, please let them know. Let's see here. The goats, if you're sure you remember the goat story, I showed a video of that.
Did you hire them for the project down here?
We didn't. The goats cost us, well, we received a $10,000 grant. We used it for the goats. This is just at 53rd Avenue. It's just really, I think, connecting the dots. You know, OSFM gave the money to somebody else. We found out, again, kind of, we were lucky at being in the right place at the right time, what they were looking to do. And then hearing that, thinking, all right, how does that translate to the city of Albany? What can we do there with what you're offering? So, okay, lastly, this will be my last Public Safety Commission meeting. So my retirement date is June 28th. But June is really the transition month where I'm just stepping aside and letting Chief LaBelle take the reins, and I'll just be there to check in with him, to answer some questions. And, you know, we've really focused a lot on transitioning. You know, I've kind of given a long goodbye, which is not my thing to do, but out of my control. So a 6-month goodbye is kind of what we did. I meet with him every Friday at 10 o'clock, answer any questions that he has. I go through how I did things. And it's truly my hope that he's, you know, he makes it his own and does his own thing. So last sentence, last bit, I wanted to thank you all. And I'll be saying this multiple times to multiple meetings, for one, for listening to me, asking questions. All your questions are relevant. I know sometimes you don't want to ask questions, but you are a part of the checks and balance system that exists in our democracy. And without those checks and balances, well, I think those checks and balances allow for better decisions. So I'm thankful for that. I'm also thankful as somebody who's lived in town in Albany for probably 30 years, that you're willing as community members to take time out of your own lives to come and to provide guidance, to do that essential function in our government. And so I'm wildly blessed that between this, you know, this commission, honestly, but, you know, all the council members I've ever worked with are mayors, Millersburg City Council, the rural boards, everybody they have different opinions or they view things differently, but I don't know that I've ever questioned how authentic and the genuine intent that they have for the betterment of the constituents they serve, which I think from a civic standpoint is pretty cool, being kind of an observer of that happening. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Any business from the members?
Question, so I know we had some guest speakers for a while, and I wonder if there are other groups that I'd be interested to hear from, whether it's other specialized functions or programs or units within the departments or community partners. I think there's some interesting folks that we talk a lot about in this space that we hear from directors. So if it's all right, I will email you and Chair Green and see if I can suggest some or move our next meeting.
Can I have probably one of the, we only have once every meeting, right? So it's the one in August.
August.
For one of those meetings, I'll have Justin Alexander, who's one of our lieutenants, who's been charged with, putting together our, Hospital 4002 stuff to really walk you through what does this new change in law mean? Because I think there's some confusion around it. It's actually a better law than it was prior to initial intent. Because it gives clear direction on what we want to do with these people that we come in contact with in possession of drugs.
Yeah, I appreciate that, thank you.
So we can add that to us.
Is there gonna be room in the jail for these individuals?
Lynn County, yes. Ben County never has any room. So, but yeah, Lynn County, yeah, they have room every day, and we're even getting some more, our municipal cases in there now, unless females. That's a problem, that's where the sheriff's office can try to add on, you know.
To save for your email to Eric or to Cynthia, you may consider Hillary Kosmicki and our community paramedic program. I just heard yesterday, or was told, that out of all the calls we go out on, only 9.8%, over this little sample size we looked at, 9.8% are to nursing homes or assisted living facilities, which I've asked them to look retrospectively back, because I bet we're gonna see that that number was probably higher. We have many facilities in town that we rarely go to anymore. And I am absolutely sure it's because Hillary has been visiting those assisted living facilities and working with them and getting people to navigate to the right, proper piece of healthcare they need than calling 911. So I think there's lots of successes there. This would probably be boring for you, Eric, but our emergency manager, Chuck Perino, could certainly come in and talk about, you know, what he's doing in his world for preparedness. We have our special teams. So our special teams are water rescue team, hazardous materials team, technical rescue team, which you saw a picture. You know, they could come in and talk a little bit about what they do, maybe even do a little show and tell. Those would be kind of the things that probably jump out at me right away.
That sounds great, I think that would be great, and, you know, if we did a field trip out somewhere to look at the boat or something like that, too, that wouldn't be terrible, so.
The other thing we could do, or not we, Chris could do, I catch myself doing that a lot, is, and I'm currently doing it right now with one of the rural boards, we're rotating our meetings to some different sites. And I know you've met at Station 15 in Millersburg. The issue, I think, though, probably would be technology in some of those stations. But so maybe that was a bad idea. But, you know,
I was gonna say something, I'm not going to.
don't even, please.
I won't.
Next topic. Did I hear a motion to adjourn?
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Pat, if you wanna hang out for a couple minutes, I will come get you. I gotta go shut down my office and stuff.